It's Theme Park Thursday Live with Dillo's Dudes. Featuring Frank. And Jen.
This is Theme Park Thursday with Dillo's Diz. She is Jen.
Hello.
And I am Frank, and it's actually Wednesday morning here live on YouTube for the first portion of what will be this Thursday's Theme Park Thursday audio podcast.
Yes.
If I was like making sure I got all the right words in order.
That's right. Lately when we do the lives, we're doing them over at Dillo's Diz Resort. And so sometimes I feel like we get a little bit of the yips coming back to YouTube live. Like, ooh, there's more people here watching.
Yeah, there's gonna be more eyes on us, potentially, maybe, hopefully, crossing the fingers. So on this first portion of the audio podcast, if you're listening, we will be talking about our Saturday at 90s Con. That was on March the 18th, 2023. And then on the back end of the audio podcast, we will be sharing with you our first round picks from hashtag Dillo's Madness, aka the Dillo's Diz my favorite thing about Disney ever this year, March Madness Mania Pool. So we have our first round picks, and we have some Disney news also on the back end of this podcast that was recorded earlier at DillosDizResort.com. That's our Patreon with memberships beginning as low as $1 per month. That $1 gets you into the world-renowned one-channel Discord.
Yes.
Where many in our chat this morning are attendees of the infamous one-channel Discord and are awaiting your check-in imminently.
That's right. They're hanging by the pool. They're getting a drink. They're waiting for you to come party with them.
So here we are with the 90s Con recap, and I wanna maybe start at the very beginning. We went last year.
Yes.
The first annual 90s Con, March 2022, post Omicron. We went in particular to meet and greet with the all new Mickey Mouse Club members. There was an after party on the Saturday night. They ended up doing a panel discussion on the Friday night. And so we made it a 2-day event for us. It was just a 1-day this year. But, we had a lot of takeaways last year, and we kind of loved it because we love the nostalgia.
Yes. I mean, that's the thing. Coming off of last year, it was going to be hard to beat because the Mickey Mouse Club, as most of you know, has meant so much to us. And the fact that we got the group photo, the single selfies, the after party, which was basically a concert and a show. And it was like, what is happening in these 24 hours to us? This is amazing. So we kind of knew like, well, we got to come back again next year. And I remember last year walking around feeling like, oh, is this one of my new favorite places ever because of the nostalgia in the 90s? And I'm kind of loving it here.
Yeah, and there was everything was easing back from mid 2021 to mid 2022. I would say before summer 2022. I would say that was like the ease in, and everyone new variant. No, da 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 da, as Stephers is saying here in the chat.
Yes.
Everyone was start and stop. And I think one of the big takeaways was like amazing that that's for entertainment pulled off what they pulled off last year, coming out of another variant that made people stutter step a little bit.
Yes, for sure.
But also in a way of like, oh my God, this is going to be so huge. It's going to just grow exponentially. The possibilities are kind of limitless. And that is what we were looking forward to going into this year. And, maybe taking a better look at our budget compared to last year?
Last year was like, well, we gotta get all of them. Just here you go. Doesn't matter.
Yeah. It was snowy in Hartford, Connecticut at the 2022 90s Con, but it was raining money out of Dillo's Diz's hands
That's
at 90s
right.
Con last year.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I think that's what we're really going to talk about, because we did spend less money this year.
Yes.
But we don't know if that equated to success. We don't know if that we're still in search of the perfect scenario.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I was talking to Mrs. Dillo here at home afterwards, going, the same idea of like, do you do Genie Plus or not? And do you,
Yep.
do you do a deluxe resort because of the extra
Mm-hmm.
benefit? Like all these little things that come up along the way with Disney.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the same. It's applicable, as it were. And that's anywhere these days. We talk about dynamic pricing on Broadway all the time, and we talk about how baseball games here in New York are getting into that kind of same vein.
Yeah.
We see that here, and because it was only the second year, we're like, okay, so how would we approach this the next time?
Right. Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that set me off early, not set me off in a bad way, but like it was kind of like a signal, an indicator, as it were. I watched an Insta live with That's For Entertainment a couple of weeks back, and I was walking back from the subway from work, and one of the things they said was, I think they expected larger crowds, but they said that they put caps on it because part of the success, the experience of 90s Con is being able to do the things within a time frame. Now, we went from one day. We were there for the day and a half last year. Friday was like a half day. Saturday was a full day. We felt like we had all the time in the world last year.
Yeah, for sure.
And on Saturday, we felt like there's no time. It's a minute and a half. I definitely felt that way.
Oh, yeah. And I think going into it, I started to feel a little bit of that. Like last year, coming off of last year, we're like, no, it's going to be fine. And we could probably do one day and it'll be fine. And as we got closer to this year, I was like, is it going to be enough? No, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. Don't worry about it. And yet when we were there that day, this past Saturday, flew by. I think it was like 1:00 and we're like, this day's flying. This day is flying by. What is happening right now?
It was 3:00 so fast. I couldn't get over how fast the mid-afternoon came.
Yes.
It was wild. And so that was I think the biggest thing for me with what felt like limited time was the vendors were expanded this year, which was kind of one of the things we were hopeful for last year. It was like, oh, we can't wait till the vendor side of things expand. And yet they did, and yet there was no time to look at the vendors. And it's how we passed, we kind of put our day across. I think I was trying to pace ourselves.
Yeah, because of how the panel discussions were laid out, and our photo ops that we had already bought in advance, and some of the meet and greets and those lines were going, we didn't have as much time to walk around the vendor side. I feel like last year we walked around that entire space so many times, but a lot of that was because it was on Friday, and Friday, not all the celebrities are there. There was only one panel discussion we were waiting to see. So there wasn't as much happening. So we did more walking around, whereas this year we didn't do as much of that. So yeah, so that's kind of a bummer that we didn't get more time over there. We had been kind of commenting on some posts from some of the vendors leading up to it, and like, oh, we can't wait to see you, and we can't wait to check this out more. And we just, the time was running out on us.
So with that, the thoughts come in and go like, do you just come in on Friday night so you get to see the vendors,
right,
and kind of ease in to what will inevitably be the busier day? When we were leaving, we were wondering like, well, Sunday's not sold out. Is Sunday the better day to come next year? But then Sunday sold out, with a good walk up. And I wonder if that's in part from people not getting to do all the things they needed to do on the Saturday because of the enormity of the crowd. So that those are the things as we go through it, way through. I mean, we had one big failure.
Yeah, twice.
Where last year Jen like struck out 3 times trying to get Topanga's photo op.
Yeah,
Well, not
but
the
those
photo
weren't
op.
as bad. In fairness, I was on those lines for maybe 5 to 10 minutes each time I struck out, whereas this year was a good hour to an hour and a half
On both.
on both times.
And to show you, because we're not planners when it comes to Disney, we're not planners.
Yeah.
But the warning signs were there, as I mentioned when I listened to that Insta Live. There's just something like this, the spider senses were tingling a little bit, and so on Friday I had wrote out. We needed to hit some particulars.
Yeah,
we wanted to have a Saved by the Bell element. That was like kind of one of the first big things announced.
Yeah.
So they had a panel discussion at 3. Great. We trying to figure out, okay, are we going to do like the selfie photo op at the booth with Mario Lopez and Mark Paul Gosselaar and Elizabeth Berkley? Are we going to do the group photos were already sold out, and they had added some which I missed, and I was mad about that too. What were the needs? So, and then we had the 90210 element, which got added after we bought our single day tickets.
Yeah, that was in the last like 2 weeks or so that it got added, that I was sending you screenshots with the alarm gifts going off, going, what is happening?
Yeah, so obviously our budget shifted dramatically after that. And so that was a must. So panel discussion at 4:00, photo ops. Then they had the group photo op, and then they added the Walsh twins photo op, and we'll get to that element in a second, because people, why are we talking about Saved by the Bell and 90210? I have all the answers for you if you're wondering. So there was that part, and then like really the only I wouldn't say the only, the next biggest element, the next biggest person, the next biggest opportunity was Alicia Silverstone.
Yeah.
And well, I do like Clueless. You love Clueless.
Love Clueless.
Mrs. Dillo loves Clueless. I like Clueless.
Yeah.
I like it.
I'm not scared of them. I just don't like it.
But Alicia Silverstone is big star power. So you're also like, okay. But Alicia Silverstone is the Aerosmith vixen.
Of course. Yes.
To me.
Yes.
So I'm like, yeah. Let's go.
Yeah.
So when we get in, now VIPs, if you get a VIP weekend pass for all 3 days, $250, you get kind of like access to a fast pass line.
Yep.
Then there's the GA line, and the fast pass people get in early.
Yeah.
Before the doors open at 10 a.m.
Yes.
The Saved by the Bell lines for all 3 were Crazy Town, USA.
Yeah, we were right outside because you can see into the space a little bit. And so we're waiting outside, and in our zigzag lines that we knew it was just going to be mass chaos when the doors opened.
Right.
And in the spots where the boy banders were last year, we're like, oh, the boy banders must be back. Look at those crowds. And we got in and we're like, oh, it's Saved by the Bell right here. Oh my goodness. Yeah. And it was like Saved by the Bell 90210, just in a line right when you walk in, pretty much.
Yeah, and so when I broke down the schedule, that was my original point. It was this is the panel discussion time. This is where they're doing individual photos. This is where they're doing group photos. So we know they won't be at the booth during this time. Right. So we're trying to figure out, all right, what are the booth times potentially for everyone? And I feel like better than last year. That's where entertainment kind of had a little stanchion signpost that assisted you with that, which was great.
Which we didn't realize until the afternoon, but I think after lunch is when we realized, like, oh wait, there's time set up here.
We're too busy walking around.
Yeah.
And so when I had listed that out on Friday, I was like, all right, when we get in the door, it's one of two things. We got to pick somebody from Saved by the Bell to go to the booth, or we got to pick Alicia Silverstone.
Yeah.
So when we walked in and it was like, bam, Saved by the Bell, we're like, well, Alicia Silverstone it is.
I think, in fairness, we did go right to Elizabeth Berkley's line because we're like, let's just get on a line. Let's just do it. Right, kind of like you do when you rope drop a ride at Disney. You just go on a line. And we went right there, but because of the proximity of the line to the walking space to the doors, they were like, we can't overflow here. So you have to walk around and come back because the entire space was already capped out. So
Right.
we're like, okay, let's keep walking. But at that moment is when you were like, let's go see if I almost went Long Island on that.
Mhm.
Mark Paul Gosselaar's
Yeah.
photo op is still available. So at
Right.
least we know we will have a picture with Zach before
Right.
we leave here because these lines are way crazier than we were maybe anticipating originally. So we went over to the photo op area, ended up
Mhm.
buying it online, and then I think we headed over to Alicia going, okay, now what do we do? And we were just like speed walking in the
Yeah.
morning, like, what can we do?
Which in hindsight was also a fatal mistake because I could have just gotten in the Alicia Silverstone line and bought the photo op but Frank was trying to see if he could save on some service fee costs. So
Right.
it's like, "Can I pay this directly here with cash?" And then, "No?
Right.
Okay." So that was a fatal mistake because then we went over to the Alicia Silverstone line, which was long.
Yes.
The longest line we waited in last year was Leah Thompson
Yeah.
for us, like, of who
Yes.
we wanted to see. And that was kind of a game day decision of like, "You know what? No, I wanna do this. I've
Yeah.
been thinking about it all week. Let's get in line."
Yeah.
Now, Alicia Silverstone's team, I would say these lines were equivalent, right? Wouldn't you say that Alicia Silverstone's line was equivalent to Leah Thompson's line?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So Alicia Silverstone's team, I thought, was great.
Yeah.
You had somebody walking around saying, "Hey," she loves to talk, but from your side, if you can wrap it up quicker than
Right.
you might be thinking, that would be really great. And so I was like, "Okay, we're gonna move through this. No problem."
Yeah.
Leah Thompson talked to everybody,
Yes.
and we
Including
moved
us.
through pretty quickly still.
Yes.
So I was confident when we got in line 10:15-ish. She wasn't there yet, Alicia was not there yet, that we would get through by the time our 11:45 time for the 90210 group photo happened.
Yes.
So it begins. She arrives. We're like basically like an hour. We got like an hour. We gotta get to the other side. We don't know how quickly things will move on at the group photos. Yada yada yada.
Yeah.
It was moving at an interesting pace. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. And I do think a lot of that has to do with more people probably having the VIP pass this year than they did last year
Yeah.
because they were doing kinda if you are a Disney fan watching this, you know how the standby versus the Genie Plus or the Fast Buy or the Lightning Lane or whatever it is line works, where they do, take the fast passers and then they'll take a couple of the standby and then the fast passers. So they were kinda trying to do that to balance it out a little bit, but there were so many people because even if they weren't there initially, there was a constant flow of people on that VIP line
Mhm.
that were coming through that it never like that line never ended at
No.
any point. So it was really tough to balance out the two. And then I think, there are people this is the only person they wanted to see and they wanted her to sign a bunch of things and
Mhm.
they wanted to so there's that aspect too because sometimes when she's signing multiple things it might take a little longer plus
Yeah.
the photo whatever it is and I'm not downing anyone for
No.
that. Get your time in, you
Yes.
spent money to come here,
Correct.
but
Correct.
I think these are the things that kind of slowed up the lines from our perspective a little bit.
Yeah, the variables are. I think you're right. I think more. And because I think the VIP was sold out last year too, but I think there were more VIP passes released than
Yes.
previous. So
Yeah.
that was definitely part of it. The merch and what getting signed, it was definitely a way bigger part of it. And we were more TV. I mean, with Leah Thompson last year, there was a little bit of that there, and the people would buy the photos that glossy 8x10 photos that were at the stand right on contact. But a person had a poster, so something
A
they created,
hoverboard.
a hoverboard, right? That was
Uh-huh.
a big one last year.
Yeah.
So there were things,
Mhm.
but I don't think to the level
Yeah.
that they were this year, and the big one because it has its own classification on the pricing guide
Yes.
is the Funkos.
Yes.
I mean, the guy, he came in,
Mhm.
he went right to Alicia Silverstone. So you're right, you pay the ticket, 60 whatever dollars.
Yeah.
You go right to the booth. You got not the box. He's got the boxes flattened in
Mhm.
plastic.
Yeah.
Three
A
of those.
lot of people had that.
Yeah. Which I don't know if I completely understand. I need Hardy to explain it to me at some point. Because I'm like, what's the value of a flattened box and plastic sign versus the actual box?
But I guess because you can put it, but you're keeping it nice so that you could, I guess, reform it and put it back together. I don't know.
I guess, but to me, it's like an open toy. Like that's
right.
the lessons I've learned over time. So, he has 3 of those. So he comes in $60 plus whatever. Puts down $300 because Funkos were like $100 for an autograph when people were signing that, more than just the general autograph. And then he was out. We saw him in the parking garage when we ate lunch, and I was like, that was it.
Yeah.
You come in, you drop almost $400.
Yeah.
For what?
Yeah. That was one of my questions too. Is I guess when you're having Funko signed, is it per Funko box? Or can you bring 5 Funko boxes in and it's per box?
It was per box because I heard the volunteers say, okay, 3, $300.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I heard her say it because I was tuned into that.
Yeah.
So to that, we got to the breaking point of we don't have time to see Alicia.
We were so close.
Yeah, we were at the front.
Yeah.
And then she needed a restroom break, which was understandable.
Yeah.
It had been like a good amount of time. And we were like, we're not gonna make it. We gotta go.
Yeah.
And we were off to the group. We said, we'll come back later to see if we can make this happen. So we were off to the 90210 group photo, which was very much the thing.
Yes.
It had to be the thing.
Yeah.
Now, Jen, we could talk about this briefly. There's 2 elements. We could talk about with the Walsh twins photo op too in a bit. But when people like Saved by the Bell, 90210, why do you guys talk about this so often? I'm gonna tell you something. Brandon Walsh, he worked at a beach club. And then Zach Morris, he worked at a beach club. And then the Dillos were vacationing in the summer at the beach club.
Yep.
And that was our beach club. Zach had his. Brandon had his.
Yeah.
And we had ours.
That's right. And that was our 90s. We were all at beach clubs in the 90s.
I'm going to pass it to you, Jen. As we were crossing the convention center to get in line for the 90210 group photo, what were you thinking? What were your thoughts? I know for me with the MMC group photo last year, that was like my life flashing before my eyes. What were your thoughts as we were going here?
Yeah, I think last year, I think I may have said this last week too, that there is on my phone, I have I meant to take a selfie, but I must have taken a video, and it's like a 2-second video of us right before we go in to see the MMC. And you see the nerves on our face, what's happening? And so I think last year I remember feeling like, oh my God, what is about to happen? And it was like, so maybe because whatever, we're so used to meeting celebs now, it didn't feel like that heavy, but it was still huge. Oh my God. And I just think, I always feel like with these photo ops, I know how nerve-wracking it is for the people going in, and also probably the celebrities standing there, because it is boom, boom. You are in, you take the picture, you're out. You're not hanging out. You're not having a conversation. You're not doing all those things. So I'm also especially as Dillos, where we're we don't want to take too much of your time. Sorry, okay? I always feel that too, of I'm gonna go in here and we're taking the picture and that's it. Let me make sure not to make a funny face or do anything or whatever. So you drop your stuff in kind of like an airport bin, so you drop your bag and your jackets or whatever you may have, and they go over there so that you can literally, they don't want you gathering the stuff. It is very quick and an efficient process. So I did feel like when we were on that first line, I was overhearing things that I think it was running a little bit behind. People were worried about overlapping photo ops and if they're going to make it and all that kind of stuff. And they were saying the thing you really want to listen for is last call for anybody. And then you get our attention. So we were good with the group photo, and we put our stuff in and we're online, and they have it's basically cubicles of black curtains everywhere, and the celebrities are within these little cubicle boxes, and you get fished through. And so when you're on the line getting close, you can kind of see through the black curtain a little bit. Not full on. You can't see people's faces, but you can kind of see outlines and all that. And so you were standing there and you go, Priestley shaking hands. Oh my God. So that was the moment of like, we're gonna get to shake his hand. What? And so we were like, all right, we're going in and shaking a hand. That's pretty amazing. I had chosen to wear my 90210 t-shirt that I had gotten like 2 years ago because I love 90210 and saw it at Target and whatever. And so I had chosen to wear that as what I was wearing, which was great because when we walked in, shook Jason Priestley's hand. He's like, hey, how are you? Okay, let me just sidebar here. And I said this all day that day. You cannot tell me that was not Brandon Walsh during this photo op. He looked like he was dressed how Brandon would dress. He's shaking hands like the politician Brandon Walsh was. It was fantastic. But anyway, so we go in, shake his hand, and I kind of I think you were in front of me, so you shook his hand first, and then I shook his hand, and you went to stand next to Ian, and I'm standing next to Jason.
Whose hand I also shook. I don't know if you know. I shook
what? I did not know that. Great. Anyway, but Jason says, "Oh man, I love your shirt." I'm like, "Thanks." And then as we position ourselves in the photo, Ian, "Oh, great shirt." What? Thank you guys. Thanks. And Jenny Garth and Tori Spelling are sitting right in front of us, turning back and waving at us. And I'm just like, what is this moment? This is insane. But also, oh my God, we got to stand here. Like, it's so much happening in maybe 30 seconds. It's just insanity for 30 seconds.
Right.
And they take the picture and you're out. But that's my perspective. I don't know if you have any other additional perspectives to add about
I mean,
those 30 seconds.
Right? I mean, it does, because, whether he made the choice to like, hey, I think what the fans would really love to see is to be greeted as close as like what they remember. And if Jason Priestley is like this, like when you first meet him in general, wow. I mean, awesome.
Yes.
But there was the glint in the eye a little bit. There was the inflection of the voice. There was the firmness of the handshake. I mean, and when we'll talk about it, I'm going to talk about with the Walsh twins, but I don't want to get too far into it. But Brandon was probably my favorite character on 90210. I don't know if that lines up with like other shows I like. I like, sometimes I like a supporting character, a character that like has high and low extremes. They have a little redemption. Like we talk about Winchester on MASH, very pompous, but then when, it gets to a very, intimate, vulnerable moment, the actor, David Augustus is fantastic. So, those are sometimes the characters I get drawn to. But Brandon, I wish I knew what, the only thing I've ever thought of was like, I guess I think I'm kind of a goody two shoes and afraid of doing it. It's mostly out of fear of getting in trouble and doing something wrong. So I related to that character more, especially in the earlier time period. And because I wasn't the student Brandon Walsh was. I was never going to be the class president. Or not Andrea was, but all the things he did in college. I was never, Keats, obviously there was a relationship with Keats I really connected to at some point, but now it's all going right. But whatever, in that moment, and then all I can think of was like, oh, I'm gonna get this moment again later with the Walsh twins picture. Like, it's gonna happen twice,
right?
And right, it was very quick. It was just cool to say hello and thank them and be appreciative of the moment. And we were out.
Yeah, just like that. I see Joanne saying she remembers feeling the same with daytime meetups. True, at Super Soap Weekend back in the day, it is that same feeling and that same rush, I would say. Jeffers also pointing out the Canadian that is Jason Priestley, which is probably what makes him so nice.
I mean, I think it's fair.
So
But
nice.
yeah, and I mean, and they talked about it in the panel discussion. I don't know if how deep we'll go into the panel discussions, but the who's most like their character, who's and I think the other why I was drawn to that show too is there didn't seem to be much of a line. I mean, I'm not gonna. I don't want to say this in a way that like says something about their acting ability, because I think to maintain that is a whole other muscle to exercise altogether. But it seemed authentic. The characters seemed authentic because I think so much of themselves were in the roles.
Yes.
And so that played out in that moment.
Yeah, for sure.
So after that, we were like, all right, I guess we got to take a quick look, because we're going to save the Zach Morris meet and greet to the end of this discussion.
Okay.
So we went to get lunch. We had the.
Oh, wait, do you want to show? Let's show our group photo.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Now let us reveal, in case you haven't seen it, the group photo. There it is.
There it is. I will say, so after this picture, so we get one printed copy of these pictures, and then we there's a little number in the bottom left corner you can see there, and you go online, and we have to. Because we're old, we take a picture of that photo and then we zoom in so we can type the number in for the digital copy. But I was looking at this picture and I said to Frank, I don't know, I think my smile probably could have been just a little bit bigger. And then I saw on Instagram that our friend Long Island Frank was like, don't smile too big, you might give it away. I was like, that's exactly what I was thinking in that moment. But yeah, I mean, what is this photo?
And again, I mean, a couple of people have mentioned this, but Jenny Garth she got this pose down.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, just stick the landing on the pose.
Yeah.
Like really impressive.
Yeah.
So good. If you're listening on the audio version, make sure you go over to our YouTube or our Instas. You can find the group photo there. So lunch came back. Zach Morris we're saving for the end.
Yes.
You had a meet and greet with Drew Fuller.
I sure did.
You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So when I was on the Adventures with Stephers podcast, we were kind of talking about everyone who's going to be at 90s Con. This was before anyone from 90210 was announced. So we were going through everybody. And she mentioned Drew Fuller because Stephers is a big Buffy and Charmed fan. And so she was super excited for those two casts, whereas I didn't really watch either of those shows. However, since 90s Con, I have learned that Mama Dillo did watch Charmed. So that's interesting.
What?
But and knew exactly who he would. Oh, yeah, that was the son on Charmed. Oh, okay. So anyway, I realized Drew Fuller is going to be there for Charmed. However, I know him as Trevor on Army Wives. And I was like, wait a second. This is Trevor from Army Wives. What, he's going to be there? So he was on my mind for like, okay, we're going to try to get 90210 people, of course. We're going to try to get Saved by the Bell people. We want to get Alicia. But I think I might want to make some time for Drew. I also... Another sidebar, coming off of last year, I counted how many photos we got last year. We got 12, including the group photo. And so in my head, I'm like, well, I'm going to get Jesse and Slater and Zach. And I'm thinking of all these photos we're going to get. And let's see how the timing goes. So I wasn't sure, but we did get on his line because we had some time before the panel discussions. Alicia wasn't at her table and our group photos were kind of set at that point. So we get on his line, and the Charmed people, amazing fans, and had so much with them to sign. They had the big book of spells that I learned from Mama Dillo. There's a big green book, so a lot of them had that. There was someone in a cosplay looked like the Grim Reaper. I don't know. Maybe he's somebody else. I don't know. I'm probably saying the wrong thing. He was taking a picture with him. All these things. Drew Fuller was also having everyone sign his table. So I hope he took that with him and is framed somewhere in his house because his signature is there. But I go up, and when you go up to the table, there is someone normally standing on the side, like taking the money and getting everything set up. And so she was very lovely. She's like, "Hi, what are we doing?" I said, "Oh, I'm just doing a selfie." And she said, "Great." And then she said, "I love your shirt. Who's your favorite?" And I'm like, "Oh my God, do I have like one specific favorite?" And like, but I'm also like, Drew Fuller's right here. Like, I don't know what to say. Like, I don't think I have words right now, so I'm not thinking clearly. And she's like, "Mine was Dylan. I loved him." I'm like, "Oh, yep, of course." And she's like, "I'm so sad." I'm like, "I'm so sad." Drew Fuller chimes in to our conversation while he still has like a guest in front of him, but chimes into our conversation, goes, "My favorite was Tony." And I was like, "Is he talking to us?" What? And so the girl who is with him was like, "What?" And he's like, "Tony, Dylan's wife, who got killed, she was my favorite."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Yeah." And then she looks at me and she's like, "I don't even know if he's joking or not." I'm like, "He's being legit. I mean, that's a story, that's a thing." And then he was like, "No, I'm being serious. And she's here today." And I'm like, "Yeah, okay, we're just having a 90210 discussion with Drew Fuller. Okay, whatever."
Yeah.
And so then as I'm going around the table to take a photo, I said, "I know a lot of people here are here for, Charmed, but I'm all Army wives." And he was like, "That's okay." And we take a picture, and we smile, and then he's like, "Did you sign my table?" And I said, "I sure did." And then we leave. So that was crazy. I have seen someone made a comment on the picture, maybe on Instagram, that I had posted, saying that she was jealous that he smiled for my photo. And I had noticed on the line, he wasn't smiling like in a lot of pictures. He was doing the like cool closed
Right.
mouth thing.
Yeah.
Um, I didn't notice he was so as I'm seeing more pictures pop up here and there, I'm like, "Oh, he didn't smile in 2 minutes." It was a balance of when
Yeah.
he was smiling and when he wasn't. So I too am thankful that he smiled in my photo, but
All right.
that
I
was
should have
very
had you
awesome.
send me the Drew Fuller picture. I forgot that's the one we don't have currently
Oh,
to
yeah, I
share
wonder
here.
if I can maybe I'll try to get it if you wanna talk a little bit about
But
you didn't wanna be in that photo with me. I mean, apparently you haven't watched Army Wives 10,000 times like I have.
no, and
I
I
don't
didn't watch
understand.
Charmed either, much like Mama
Yeah.
Dillo, apparently. But and that was like a crazy part. And what we talked about was the thinking, from the producer standpoint. And I wonder, but maybe it's just like, no, every man for himself. But so to that point, with the Charmed element, you had the Charmed fans, you had the Buffy the Vampire Slayer fans, you had the Full House fans, you had the Saved by the Bell fans, you had the 90210 fans. These have large groups of fans. And I don't know from the producer element whether they thought everyone will spread out. They'll do, and it'll be this group will go here and that group will go there, and
Mhm.
it'll be plentiful for everybody.
Yeah.
But really, maybe I don't know if they underestimated how many crossover fans there are.
Yeah, no, it is true because I do think there's a huge crossover with Buffy and Charmed fans for sure. I mean, all we kept thinking of is Stephers. This is where Stephers would be, and just this whole row of people here. So yeah, it was pretty, and you had, most of, I would say most of the cast of both. I know you're missing some people on both sides, but you had a good number of people from, I think, both of those were 6 people each in like for like the group photo. So you
Yeah.
had 6 cast members from each of those shows, which is pretty crazy.
So I'm gonna jump ahead
Yeah.
to the end of the day prior to the Walsh siblings photo. We went back to Alicia's line
Mhm.
after the panel discussions. There was a Saved by the Bell panel discussion at 3. So the 90210 was at 4.
Mhm.
We cut out a little early just to give us a little extra time because our Walsh twins photo was at 5:50 p.m.
Right.
So we go down to the line is just as long as it was in the morning.
Mhm.
VIP line just as long as it was in the morning. But hoping, praying, whatever, that they know the at the end of the day, maybe it'll move along quickly. And I'm not putting blame on anybody at all.
Yeah.
It's just the variables of, again, the merch, the
Mhm.
VIPs, everything. I don't think we even got as close as we did the first time before.
No. I think we were one row behind where we got the first time.
And I could just see the timing it was taking to do like one snake of the tape. They put tape on
Mhm.
the floor to make the cue, and you follow and you go through like a zigzag, and just how the time it would take to get around one portion of the zigzag. I'm like, we're not gonna make it. We're not gonna make it. And so it didn't work out, but then makes us contemplate, the VIP pass, which is
Mhm.
at $250.
Yeah.
You go for all 3 days. You get the quick access. And as I was explaining it to Mrs. Dillo, she was like,
Mhm.
what is the ticket prices? And so I was like 60 plus for like Saturday, Sunday. It's a little cheaper for Friday because it's a half
Mhm.
day. I said, or 135 for the weekend pass. And she said, okay, so it's like $115 more for the VIP. And she's like, it's not horrible,
Mhm.
but then you're staying in a hotel for 2 nights. And I was
Right.
like, well, there is that.
Mhm. Mhm.
So unless you're local or you have a friend or you're, whatever, there is that added element of it that if you want to take that leap, then,
Mhm.
and that also comes with the cost of buying that many more photo ops.
Mhm. Yes.
And then there's the second part, which is like we did with Mark Paul Gosselaar, that we determined, all right, let's just buy the $70-$80 photo op, individual photo op, professional photographer picture that is available, and there's like 4 or 5 photo sessions or less depending
Mhm.
on timing. And you could also like, I got to make sure I get who I get, so I'm going to pay the $20 to $25 more than I would for a quote unquote selfie at
Mhm.
the table. Some people did selfies, some people had a volunteer take the picture, some tables had their staff take a picture. It
Mhm.
varies
Yeah.
because some celebrities, they're like, you're not taking a horrible selfie of me and posting this.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh-huh. They
you
all
know,
had ring lights this year. Last year, only a couple of people had ring lights, and I don't know if that's something that certain people brought with them, and
right.
then, that's for entertainment, maybe supplied everyone with a ring light this year, and some people use them and some people didn't, but, I did notice that that addition to every table this year.
And yeah, so then there's that part of it too, is like, okay, we're not gonna do that, we're just gonna do the pictures. But I think that takes away from the experience of waiting in the line and listening to people and what they're excited about. And there's just part of that experience. Not
Mhm.
that you're not waiting to go into the individual photo, professional photographer opportunity
Mhm.
too. But I don't know, there's something missing from that, I feel like.
Yeah,
Don't you think?
and and me and Mr. Snidelo were talking this all through as well, and, like, do you do a Saturday, Sunday next time, and do you do it where you try for all your group photos on, like, one of the days?
Hmm.
That's all you're really focused on, and
Yeah,
if anything else happens, that's a bonus,
right.
and the next day, or vice versa, or whatever it is, you focus on, "I'm gonna be just waiting on lines all day, and
Yeah.
these are the people I wanna hit." What's so hard with these VIP passes is that that's where entertainment also does the Christmas cons. Christmas con in New Jersey in December.
Hmm.
That VIP pass sold out as soon as they posted it months ago.
Hmm.
So now it's also like, for me, I would feel like I would definitely want that VIP pass. Like last year would have been probably great. I mean, we did fine last year. Again, we
Yeah.
got 12 photos. My God.
Yeah.
Um, but this year probably even so. If we had really wanted like the Mario Lopez, Elizabeth Berkley, Mark Paul, Jason Priestley, like all
Mm.
their
Oh
single
yeah.
booth photos,
Hmm.
yeah, then so that I can just go on these VIP lines and I can get through that process quicker, then yes. So it's hard when it's like, I don't know if there wasn't as many people that I really wanted to wait on those lines for, would the VIP pass be worth it? But it would totally be worth it if there were enough because you're really being able to weave through those lines
Yeah,
quicker.
and the other thing with the VIP pass is I feel if you're into the autographs, which we are not,
Uh-huh.
the VIP pass is another
Yes.
perk of that because then you're moving. Not that you're not also probably going to do a combo and get both,
Mhm.
and that's probably what a lot of people are doing. But to ensure that they sign your poster, they sign your photo. Like I saw a couple people with their autograph, all 4 90210 stars signed that
Mhm.
group picture. I was like, oh man, that would have been cool.
Right.
But I also know that was another, carry the one like
Right.
$650, dollars, $600 because of the cost of the VIP pass plus the autographs for each star. I mean,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
almost $1,000 photo right there.
Yes, for
And
sure.
and would it be worth it if I had it? Yep. But
Uh-huh.
I need to budget.
Yeah. No, we did say I don't know when we started noticing that, probably a little later in the day because people were getting some of the group photos earlier in the day and then going to wait on the lines for the autographs. I'm like, "Ooh, that's smart." Like, they would bring the
Yeah.
sleeve
Hmm.
and then have people sign. I'm like, "Oh, that's a smart idea." But yeah, that adds up over time, and and I remember thinking that last year with the Mouseketeers, where people got like the group photo, professional photos with each of them, then the party photo. I'm like, this is adding up quick. And then they would also have a Boy Meets World photo or a Full House photo. And once you start adding up those group photos, that alone is a lot. Then you add the selfies to it.
All right, we are talking greatly in depth about 90s fun. So I want to move on to the Walsh siblings, which I mean, we're not going to talk about the same things. You learned throughout the day like how great Shannon Doherty is.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
And she has had health issues, but everything when it came to the fans. I mean, I saw the fans' appreciation for Shannon Doherty and what she did and the time she took, probably more than anybody else there.
Oh, for sure. I think everyone, it was crazy because she was announced with the Charmed cast early on. And then when 90210 got added, it was like, how do we work in Shannon to all the 90210 stuff? And she wasn't able to sit on the panel for them, but she did squeeze in some group photos on Sunday because that's the time she had. And then they came up with the Walsh twins photo op on 2 sessions on the end of Saturday and then some on Sunday. And it was like, she did so much. Plus she was at the table signing autographs. It was crazy.
And the other draw of us watching 90210, very early on was, we're all new Mickey Mouse Club fans, as we've already discussed here. And in the middle, and I think Mondays and Wednesdays, or maybe it was Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. I don't exactly recall. I don't have a lot of Fridays on video, but in the middle of the show, they would do like a little serialized movie chapters, kind of thing, right in the middle. And there was Teen Angel, and then later on Teen Angel Returns, which starred Jason Priestley. I believe it was Teen Angel Returns that had Jenny Garth on as well. And there was one in between that was The Secret of Lost Creek, which starred Shannon Doherty.
Yes.
So when you have those 3 people, and we recognize them from the All New Mickey Mouse Club, we're like, well, we have to watch this show because these 3 people that are our family now, they're part of it. We must support them.
Yes.
And that's a big part of what got into that. So I'm going to share the photo because yes, we got another Priestley handshake and it was glorious. But I did share. I'm going to share this because as you can see, Teen Angel, Priestley in the middle there, and that's Secret of Lost Creek with Shannon Doherty, and then the Walsh twins below. And when the siblings meet the siblings above.
Yeah, I mean, when this was announced, towards the end of last week, and I was like, we must do this.
Yeah,
and
it was very close to the time.
Yeah, I think it went on sale. When was that? It was like last Sunday night. Maybe it went on sale, and we were like, set the alarms. We have to be able to get this. It's
I was like, I gotta put the 7-year-old to bed, and we can do it right after.
Yeah, so we were like, how do we as siblings, as the #1 siblings podcast in New York that drops on a Thursday, not get this sibling photo up? And I did make sure to tell them that we were siblings, which got Jason Priestley, who we affectionately call Priestley, to say, are you really? Okay. Again, there's more exchanges happening. So many exchanges the whole day. So even though it's a quick 30 seconds, I make sure to try to get some sort of exchange.
It's worth it. It's worth it. They're all worth it. Okay. So we're going to close things. This portion of the podcast up. We got our Dillo's. If you're listening to the audio, we got the Dillo's Madness first round picks to discuss, Disney experiences versus Disney experiences.
Yep.
Thrills, chills, bills, Dillos, and some Disney news on the back end of this. So stay tuned for that. If you're listening to the audio here on YouTube right now, we're going to wrap things up by talking about our Mark Paul Gosselaar meet and greet. Zach Morris had to be done. I told Jen when we bought the individual photo, I would have been mad if we didn't get this photo.
Yeah, for sure.
So. And it turned out, I think that was correct based on how the day went. That was the correct choice.
Yes, for sure.
Now, I'm going to share the photo as it looks on Instagram first.
Okay.
Jen always has to be on the left.
That
is the rule.
That is the rule.
I think there's one photo with Chase from 2022 where Jen is on the right.
Oh, it's okay. Drew Fuller, I was also on the right.
What is that? Which one?
Drew Fuller, I was also on the right.
Oh, you're on the right for Drew Fuller. That's right. So this is now you can tell already. Why does Frank look ill? Like, is he okay? And there's just something off about, like, compared to other ones. And I don't get it, because Mark Paul Gosselaar was great. He was very nice. He would talk to us at the end. You know, he was very grateful and appreciative. Agreed?
Yes, he said, thank you guys so much for making the effort. We're like, thank you. What?
I mean, you're here. Thanks.
Yeah.
And and I will say, I watched a little NYPD Blue with him. I really liked Pitch. I was on Fox for not many episodes when he was the catcher on the baseball team. Like, you know, I'm in. Likability. He's got likability. Yeah. And so I don't know, when I know he has some, like, again, to look at me cozying up to Steve Sanders, Ian Ziering, like, what is happening here? Why do I feel uncomfortable? So this is a cropped version of the photo. I don't know why I chose not. He's got his arm around me. Why is my arm not around him? It makes no sense.
Right.
So for the first time in 5-6 days, whatever it's been since we were at 90s Con. What day is this? Wednesday? It's been like 3 days. So since 90s Con, I'm going to show the original photo as it was taken with Mark Paul Gosselaar, aka Zach Morris. I can't believe I'm going to do this. And here it is. Oh, it's so terrible. I can't even look at it.
When we
What is happening in this photo?
When we got the printed photo off of the printer, the first that you were like, what am I doing? What am I doing? What is this photo? What's happening? I'm like, why didn't you put your arm around him? What happened? He's like, I don't know. What is this? What? And then, like, immediately after, as soon as we get the digital copy, we're trying to figure out the best way to crop it. But for the whole rest of the day, it would be in our little program book. Yeah. And Frank would just glance at it and be like, God, what am I doing? And he was just so mad. Sometimes it slipped out of the book. I'm like, you're just trying to ruin that picture, are you? He's like, I don't like it. I don't want to do it. What did I do?
And I saw some people come out and get retakes. And I'm not going to say the thought crossed my mind. But I felt like I couldn't really point at something and say, yes, I'm standing like a tool. Can I please take a second photo with Mark Paul Gosselaar?
Right. Maybe if your eyes were closed or something.
I'm sure that's
yeah.
Whatever is happening in this photo. It doesn't look like me. It drives me bonkers. So Jen's got a great cropped photo out of this. She can just get a nice little vertical cropped photo probably to put in the frame.
Me and Mark Paul, my prom date. Yeah.
Oh, God. I was so mad because like, well, all right, we got to commit to getting the individual photo up with the professional photographer now, and then I blow it.
Yeah. It's a lot of pressure. It's a lot of pressure in those 30 seconds, and you know, I saw Val say earlier, like, I always get so nervous. Like, what do I say? And it's true. Like, I also know we don't have time to talk. So I don't know what to say. And it's hard to remember all the things of, like, this is one photo, make it good. Make sure, like, I mean, I can point to things in the photos where I'm like, oh, that's not a great angle, or oh, that could have been better. But, like, it's so high pressure going in for those 30 seconds, unless you're, you know, I mean, I think some people will do specific poses. I saw someone have a Zach Morris phone that they posed with him. I saw some people with Clueless doing, like, the whatever, you know, there's people doing certain things. But if you're just going in there, which I don't know if I could even focus enough to do a thing with anybody because I would be so nervous. But yeah, it's you know, it's hard. It's not easy.
But I don't know. I feel like I do pretty good with it these days, and I don't know what happened in that moment.
Yeah.
Is Jeffers in the chat saying I was starstruck over Mark
Yes.
Polgas?
Yes.
I don't know. I mean, if I'm comparing it, I mean, and then again, I feel like to compare and it's not fair, but I could feel my giddiness shaking Jason Priestley's hands. It was very Mark Paul Gosselaar's aura is very calm. I felt like,
Yeah.
so it made no sense for me to be, and I felt that. So it made no sense for me to look as awkward and as uncomfortable as I did.
Yeah.
It's just frustrating. So now he's got to go back to 90s Con,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna have to do a redo.
Do a redo picture. Twist our arm.
And
We'll
then,
have to do a redo.
and I'm gonna pray it doesn't become an on-running gag where I just take horrible pictures with Mark Paul Gosselaar for the rest
I
of my
mean, that
life.
would actually kind of be funny. So if you make it a bit now. But Val's comment. I always hate my pictures with people like that too. I get so nervous. My face looks awkward, so it never goes well for me. But yours are always so great. Normally.
And now everyone in this chat will be able to go to our Instas and look at that crop photo and go, we know what's really going on.
That's right.
Yeah.
So if you're listening to this on the audio, be sure to go over to YouTube and you too can see the full photo. I also wanted to say that although we're not getting to the panel discussions on this podcast, over on YouTube, we took some of the video. We were trying to be in the moment, but also get some content. So we just put all the clips we have in one thing for the Saved by the Bell panel, as well as the 90210 panel. And both of those are up on our YouTube channel. And we have a 90s Con 2023 playlist. So everything that we do from 90s Con will be there. We also have a 90s Con 2022 playlist as well, in case you want to see anything from last year. So.
Lots on YouTube, lots of content, vertical and horizontal together.
That's right.
This weekend, 90s Con Tampa tickets go on sale. And that's the weekend after our meetup on September 8th and 9th in Walt Disney World for the Dillo's Diz Community Core. It's not out of the question right now that we would try to go to 90s Con Tampa. How we would pull that off, I have no idea. But we're very afraid for what they're going to plan after what they've done the first two go-arounds of a 90s Con. Yeah. Makes us very nervous.
Yes.
And very nervous and worried for the FOMO that could be involved.
I don't know, because there were some people from last year that were not there this year that I wonder if they would go to Tampa.
Yeah.
And it worries me. And it's also like, who else would you get? Who did you try to get for this 90s Con and then go, well, you know what? We also have one coming up in September. Would you be available for that?
Yeah. And we've talked about who could it be? Who else would lure us in the future? We've talked about like American Pie came out in 1999. That would be a group photo of that.
I know what you did last summer. I have said, you get Freddie Prinze Jr. at one of these 90s cons. I am sitting online and I will stay there all day until I get a photo. I don't care. I will do all the things for a picture with Freddie. Yeah, and we were talking about one-hit wonders from the 90s. I would get on all the lines for the one-hit wonders. Yeah.
No, there's a lot. There's the whole music area that I feel like could be explored. And I would love to know the field research involved with that and how they determine what that might do in terms of more ticket buyers, expanded audience, what have you. It's fascinating. It's a fascinating thing to me. Yeah. So that'll wrap up this portion of our 90s Con recap talk. If you're listening to the audio, we're going to move right into our hashtag Dillo's Madness picks, aka the Dillo's is my favorite thing about Disney ever this year, March Madness Mania. Poo! And then we'll have some Disney news on top of that we discussed over at DillosDizResort.com, our Patreon, with memberships beginning as low as $1 per month. We're moving on. We have first round picks to do in hashtag Dillo's Madness. You thought I was going to say the long way the first time, but I did not. In the Dillo's is my favorite thing about Disney ever this year, March Madness Mania. Poo!
Bohn.
The brackets have been submitted. The general public made their own picks, where a prize will be chosen at random. The guest of Dillo's Diz Resort also did that, but in addition, made selections that they feel Jen may pick, that they feel that I may pick. Maybe they submitted both, and we will also be choosing those with the highest point total somehow with a tiebreaker, because probably everyone will be tied. Like I said on the podcast today that dropped, because everyone picked People Mover for Jen. We have not looked at anybody's brackets. No, we have not looked at any Frank brackets. We have not looked at any Jen brackets. I have barely looked at my own bracket, but Jen and I will be picking off the first round today. Jen has the printed copy there.
Yes.
I will be choosing right off the video.
Yeah.
So in the moment, we'll be doing that.
Yes.
I'm talking a lot, so I'm going to breathe in case you have anything to add, because I have one more thing to say.
Oh, no, I was just going to say that per usual, we have not looked at the emails, so I don't know what anyone else picked for me or anything like that. And I printed this up minutes before coming here and then sat down and went, okay, I got to go through the first round, which is the only thing I have done so far. So I did that right before going live, but I still have a few blanks. So it'll be on the spot for a couple of them.
So we have the picks to do. It'll be chaos. And then the whole thing is it's rooted in chaos. That is how, as hashtag Dillo's Madness, emphasis on the madness. We're here to drive everyone mad.
Yes.
We're all mad here.
Yeah.
In addition,
mad hatters.
In addition, we do have the 3 topics or subjects. How much or how little we spend on those 3 topics or subjects, we'll see. But to rattle them off real quick, yesterday was a crazy day. Topic number 1, Epcot concepts. There was concept art flying all over the place yesterday. So we'll talk a little bit about that. Topic number 2, meet, greet, repeat. A couple of meet and greets were announced. I'm glad PixieDustPhD is in the house today. So, because I'm sure she'll have a lot to say, because I saw her tweet yesterday. And then, it's called the Roundup Rodeo Barbecue, not the What's Up, because concept art for that as well, for the Roundup Rodeo Barbecue, made me say, what's up with this? That's why, hence the What's Up Rodeo instead of the. Okay. I have a lot to say about it.
There was so much news in the last. I was like, listen, we don't have time for this. We're doing our Dillo's Madness picks. How are we supposed to discuss news this week?
We record earlier in the week. Don't drop this stuff on Wednesday. I mean, it's more annoying when they drop it on Theme Park Thursday, because they're just like, we know it's Theme Park Thursday, so let's go.
Yes.
But the Wednesday, it hurts.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Right before. Come on. And it's fine if it's an applicable Thursday and it's not Dillo's Madness, then sure, give us all the news, but not this week. Also, did you see the new Disney Springs restaurant that is coming?
Yeah.
Something on the water, something that I don't know. But that came out. I was like, why? All the news in one shot.
Just tell us when it's opening, because I'm not going to be able to get a reservation for it anyway. So. All right, so we're gonna play the video for our first round picks. Again, Jen has picked most of hers on her bracket, her printable bracket. I will be choosing directly off the video, because I didn't print the bracket, and we will go from there. I have not included the sound on the video, just so we know. How are the points working for brackets? So at this time, I'm only Jen. I don't know. Jen, who's never done a March Madness pool in her life. This much I can tell you right now. I'm going to say the first round is worth 1 point each, and then I will reveal next week the remainder. So for the first round, 1 point each for every successful pick. Give yourself 1 point.
All right.
That's right, Lee. Lexi, don't ask silly questions. We barely have an answer.
Frank just thought of that answer right now.
No, it's been in my head, and I didn't mean to include it in the spiel, and Lexi beat me to it. It reminds me of my job sometimes, where they ask me the question 5 minutes before I say it. Here we go. It's the first round picks for Jen and Frank in hashtag Dillo's Madness, aka the Dillos is my favorite thing about Disney ever this year. March Madness Mania.
Porn.
It's the thrills, the chills, the bills, and the Dillos. Let's get right to it with the thrills. The first round, it's Cosmic Rewind and the Mine Train. Jen, what did you think?
And a surprise to no one, the Mine Train, because I don't feel like I want to die after. I can recognize Cosmic Rewind is an awesome ride. However, for me personally, Mine Train.
I went with Cosmic Rewind. I really didn't know how I was going to go after I hurt myself a little bit going on the Velocicoaster earlier last year. But the Cosmic Rewind Guardians of the Galaxy coaster is where it at. Flight of Passage versus Slinky Dog Dash. I'll pick first here. It was a tough call, but I'm very, very partial to Slinky Dog. And so I went with Slinky Dog Dash.
I pick Slinky Dog.
Well, you're not going to pick the Animal Kingdom ride, so it makes sense. So Slinky Dog Dash for both of us here. Too much history with Slinky Dog.
Yeah.
It's Summit Plummet versus Humunga Cowabunga. Jen has never been on either one. She's going off of looks alone. Jen?
I'm going off of Stacey Aswad, so I choose Summit Plummet.
Agreed. I'm going with Summit Plummet as well. Tough call because I think I will still go on a Humunga Cowabunga. I don't think I'll ever go on Summit Plummet again.
Yeah.
I mean,
don't
it's
think I'll
possible.
go on either ever.
The 7-year-old might make me go on. We'll see. I mean, we haven't been. We'll see what happens someday.
Right.
The Tower of Terror versus Rock and Roller Coaster. I have a feeling we picked the same ones on this as well, Jen.
Yeah, that's going to be Tower of Terror for me all day.
It's an easy Tower of Terror win. Hopefully everyone is like, yes, I've got 4 points already, except the part where Jen screwed up Flight of Passage.
Lexi, I do not have to go on Summit Plummet now that I picked it. Absolutely not. No.
Can you imagine, Jen? Jen, what would you go on first? Summit Plummet? I'm going to pause. Summit Plummet or the Velocicoaster? What would you go on first?
No, I'm not going to Florida ever again. No, I'm just kidding. No, I literally both terrify me equally.
Are we going to go on Space Mountain? Are you going with Space Mountain here? What's your pick in this match? Okay. Space Mountain or Mission Space?
All right,
also
Space Mountain.
Pretty clear. Space Mountain. I'd be curious to see when I read over the brackets if anyone picked Mission Space. Feel free to share them in the chat because we didn't really review them.
Lee says he's 0 for 4 for Jen.
What?
Sorry, Lee.
Thunder Mountain or Test Track? Thunder Mountain or Test Track?
Thunder Mountain. Come on.
And that day or night doesn't matter. And if you would tell me Test Track, the final lap, which I think we've had in a bracket before, maybe it would be a little closer if it was just the loop at the end. But
Mama and Papa Dillo picked Test Track.
What? Wait. Really?
Have I released that video yet? Maybe that'll be the next clip. Yeah, they picked Test Track over Thunder Mountain. I was like, when's the last time you guys went on Test Track? Because then we were explaining it's changed, so it's like Test Track OG, but still.
Oh, really? They thought they haven't been on since.
I don't think so.
I don't know. I feel like they might have been on. Maybe that 2018 trip. I don't know, but in the overall, I think Mama and Papa Dillo can still probably handle Test Track where they're never going on Thunder Mountain ever again.
And so that's what she said. It's too jerky for them.
Too jerky. I don't know. That's the correct word, Mama Dillo.
Yeah.
Rise of the Resistance versus Smuggler's Run. This was a tough one for me because I just love being in the Falcon. But despite the spelling error, I'm going to go with Rise of the Resistance.
Rise of the Resistance for me as well.
Yeah. So, I mean, and again, it's that experience part of walking onto the Falcon. I don't know. Every time I walk on them, I love it so much. Yeah. Expedition Everest versus Skyliner. Giving a gimme here to Animal Kingdom, I think. I don't know. Well, I don't know what Jen would pick on this one, but I went with Everest.
I went with Everest as well. Yes. What? You think I'm going to pick a Skyliner over anything? I don't know. That would be tough.
It's a poor Skyliner. Maybe.
I mean, maybe if you put it up against, like, Cosmic Rewind, maybe I'd pick Skyliner.
Oh, that would be interesting. Maybe we should do like afterwards, like let's do like a bonus smaller bracket
Yeah.
to of the ones that we would really struggle with picking one or the other.
Yeah.
Besides this madness, let's make it double the madness, maybe. Just to say, if we end up staying at a Skyliner resort for the meetup in September,
Mhm.
I think all the content for everyone of
Oh
Jen
yeah,
on the
for sure.
Skyliner for sure.
Oh, you can't see the screen. Lexi wants to know, what did you just pick? Can you repeat your answer, please?
For the last one, I
Yeah.
went with Everest. I went with
Okay.
Animal
2
Kingdom.
Everests,
Two
Lexi.
Everests.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
will
Rise or
enunciate.
Smugglers? 2
Oh,
Rises as well.
yeah, 2 Rises there. It's a close one for Smugglers versus Rise for me, but I did go with Rise.
Right.
Lexi,
And
keep
also
up with our fast talking. You're from Long Island. You should know how it's gonna go.
also, Lee wants to change his whole thing and just go for a clean sweep of everything I didn't pick. So if we can maybe
He wants to just start over in the second
Yeah.
round. And now the chills bracket. Here we go. The People Mover versus the Country Bear Jamboree. Jen, did you pick the Country Bear Jamboree?
I sure didn't. People Mover for me.
I think Lee finally got one. I think. I would think he finally.
Fingers crossed.
I'm sure. I have not looked at Adam's bracket. Adam submitted his brackets. I'm sure that. Well, I mean, I don't know. I'm surprised he didn't yell at me for this and this one as well. Carousel of Progress, Living with the Land, Jen.
Carousel of Progress for me.
Yeah, I mean, you did discuss this with Mama Dillo on your car ride.
Yes.
Carousel of Progress for me as well.
Mama Dillo said, "Who wants to see carrots hanging upside down?" You know. So there's that.
All you need to know. That's why we're the way we are. Kilimanjaro Safari. It's Animal Kingdom versus Animal Kingdom. Jen, what did you pick?
Went with Safari because I still haven't seen Lion King show. I've tried. I just didn't stay late enough in the park, but I tried while I was there. So Safari for me.
2 safaris here. I have not seen since it's reopened, the Festival of Lion King. It's been a long time. Nomad Lounge versus Wine Bar George. This is an interesting conversation. I'm going to pause once it goes over to Wine Bar George. Jen, what did you pick?
I picked Nomad.
Ooh, okay.
I enjoyed Wine Bar George, but like Nomad has now become like a thing that made me, like I don't know how to phrase it. Enjoy Animal Kingdom a little more. That I definitely want to do this as part of my Animal Kingdom day. Like this is my must do now. So I feel like that won over. Wine Bar George is very cool. I like the little view. If you go upstairs, now it's, you can see outside and all that. But Nomad for me.
And I went with Nomad as well. Well, and I say that like I've been thinking about it all the time, but I'm looking at the video. But really, what it boils down to for me is I like the interior of Wine Bar George. I had dinner on the balcony one time at Wine Bar George, where it was in that what's the phrase I'm looking at in the the twilight hour. What's that called? The magic hour.
Sure.
And so I really enjoyed that, but it was August, so it was also hot. But I wouldn't mind experiencing Wine Bar George on that balcony at night with less humidity. I think that would be really nice, and maybe that would sway me a little bit. But Nomad for me as well.
Ryan, Nomad is what you do once you've completed the rest of Animal Kingdom before noon. Correct. That's exactly right. That's how you end your Animal Kingdom day at noon.
Muppet Vision 3D versus the Baseline Tap House. I'm thinking this is a no-brainer for you and me. Jen, what did you pick?
Hashtag save the Muppets, of course.
I mean, I think I hurt myself putting Baseline up against the top. An interesting choice here, but maybe if you don't know how much we love Muppet Vision 3D and you were just guessing our picks, maybe you'd go Baseline. But Haunted Mansion versus Oga's Cantina. Haunted Mansion was a last-minute addition because I thought everyone would yell at me, and I was like, well, I'm going to put it in the chills because it gives you chills. It's spooky chills. Get it? Jen, what did you pick?
This was a little bit tough. But I did go with Oga's. And it's hard for me because I feel like Haunted Mansion, as much as it wasn't like big as when we were kids, like it has become bigger. But then like my kids haven't wanted to go on it the last 2 years. So like I'm not going on it with them. But Oga's is like this full experience. It's 2 different things, I feel like, but I went with Oga's.
Yeah, so with Haunted Mansion,
Mhm.
similar. We didn't do a lot when we were kids, but I always appreciated that. Obviously the history of the attraction and the love that was put into the details, like all that
Mhm.
stuff was always interesting to me as a kid, even though I didn't go on it too much. The last 5 years, I feel like everyone in this community has created a spark to me
Mhm.
about the Haunted Mansion. And so the times that I have gone on the attraction in the past 5 years, which is probably more than all the other years combined,
Yeah.
has opened me up to it more, made me enjoy it more. That being said, Olga's Cantina is still special. I still seek out the reservation, even if I'm in the park for 5 minutes. So I went with Olga's Cantina to break everyone's bracket.
Yeah, I mean, everyone is like, what?
Yeah, I gave you the chat, but I'm sure people are losing their mind right now.
Yeah, we're going to have to pause the next one because this is one I did not pick yet.
Okay, so yeah, and this was, we added some DCL picks this time around. So Castaway Key, the Disney Private Island on the Disney Cruise Line. We had an awesome final day on the cruise when we were on the Fantasy last August. But Stormalong Bay at the Beach Club, we have a lot of history with. Yeah. So Jen, over to you.
Oh God, that's what's tough. I don't think I've been in Stormalong Bay probably since maybe I was in it in 2008, but like I haven't stayed in that area in order to go in it. You can't just go, like other pools. So it's a little tougher to get into that pool, but there's so much nostalgia with it, and it's the sand and it's the thing. But Castaway Cay is so awesome and glorious, and we just literally sat in that water for an entire day, except for lunch, while looking at the ship. Oh God.
I'm as you're talking, because I didn't. This one's tough for me too. If maybe one more, like after the cruise this year, maybe I would feel differently. But I'm still gonna go with the history and nostalgia of Stormalong Bay. I still enjoy looking at it from the beach club, Beaches and Cream window. So even though I'm not in it, I love that it exists.
Oh God. Now you just say I was about to go with Castaway, and now you're just saying that. Like when it's nighttime, like when we were having ice cream and the sun was going down, and then we walked over. Oh God. Stormalong Bay.
Oh, interesting. All right, let's keep it going. How's the chat going over there?
Or where I left my toenail. Follow your heart, Jen, or where you left your toenail. First of all, the toenail is in the envelope, Lexi, so it's at home at my parents' house. But yes, there's some blood. There was some DNA left on the scene.
When it's time to clone us for our cardboard cutouts at the meetup, you can use the toenail. Gross. So Trader Sam's here. It's obviously something new and interesting in our lives versus the Rose and Crown Pub. It's straight up Trader Sam's for me. I haven't been in the Rose and Crown, though I always want to be there. I haven't been there enough. Jen.
Yeah, Trader Sam's for me as well. I feel like if anything, I've hung out more outside of Rose and Crown than inside, but I have been inside and it's cool. But Trader Sam's for me on that one.
Trader Sam's. And now the bills. Bracket. Things that cost a little more. There might be a few more things in here that we haven't done. We've done both of these, the Hoop-de-Doo musical review versus the Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique, which we ourselves haven't partaken in, but the children have. Jen?
I like how you, by the way, you spelled Bibbidi Bobbidi like a Long Islander. Because that's
you did? What did I say? Biddity?
Well, it's no, because it is spelled bib with like B's and D's, and you spelled it with P's. So I think that is very Long Island. I didn't realize that until recently. But if you like look up Bibbidi, it's BIBB.
Oh, interesting.
And yeah. Okay. Anyway, this was a little tough for me because you go nostalgia versus Bibbidi Bobbidi. But because we haven't been to Hoop-de-Doo in a while, and because we had that magical experience with Bibbidi Bobbidi, I went Bibbidi Bobbidi on this one.
Okay. Oh, interesting. All right. Bibbidi Bobbidi. I mean, I agree that last year made it a tougher call, but I did do again maybe the history and nostalgia of the Hoop-de-Doo musical review. So, I mean, there's something about it, and I hope to do it again to help continued the nostalgia. The Very Merry Christmas Party versus the Not So Scary Halloween Party. If you know us, you know we, maybe unless Jen's going to prove me wrong here, we're both going to go with the Christmas.
That's correct. Yeah, and I mean, in fairness, we haven't been to Not So Scary, but we're Christmas people at heart. If we had to choose, so
we had to choose, and like it's getting closer. I'm going to pause for a second.
Yeah.
It's getting closer to, I think, me visiting, going to a Not So Scary party, mainly because of the price of a single day ticket. I'm like, well, I don't expect, and maybe I'll be proven wrong, the Not So Scary prices to go up that much higher. I feel like Iger's going to try to table that a little bit, and so if it increases, it won't be by much. But if it's going to be closer to the 1 day ticket price, then I feel like there's a greater chance of me going to a Not So Scary party someday.
Do we need to do that in August? Do we need to go?
I mean, I think it's because that's what happened last year, right? The day before the cruise, we had to do a park hopper because there was a Not So Scary party at night. I think we'd have to consider it when they announce the dates if it falls on the date.
Lexi is also saying maybe during the meetup.
Oh.
Interesting.
Interesting.
And Val is yelling at us. She is in all caps in the chat saying we have to go to Not So Scary. So
okay. I thought she was yelling at us about the Haunted Mansion since I'm not looking at the chat.
Probably
right?
a little bit of that too, but yeah.
Topolino's versus California Grill. Again, I think we have the new versus the nostalgia, Jen.
Yeah, I mean, Topolino's was very cool, and I do like that outside area, but California Grill, it's in a nostalgic hotel. It has the views of the Magic Kingdom. We have eaten there so many times. I went with California Grill.
Went with California Grill. And Topolino's was really great. So I'm trying to think the last time I ate at California Grill, but again, the prefix menu has kept me away a little bit, I feel like. So I didn't go with anything yet. I'm going with California Grill as well.
All right.
Chico versus Be Our Guest. I feel like we've been planting seeds. Like if you listen to the podcast, you should know. Jen has been dropping Chico like crazy lately.
Even though I called it Juku on like one episode or something. I don't know.
You're thinking of Jakku from the this was hard. I'm gonna pause again. It's the theming of Be Our Guest, not the prices and not the food selection. It is the theming of Be Our Guest in this instance versus a very nice dining experience at Chico. So Jen, what did you pick?
Yeah, that was where I was like, well, I feel like I'm supposed to pick Be Our Guest, but I did not. I picked Chico.
Yeah. As we continue, we did it last year too. We were like, oh, Be Our Guest reservation. Oh, look how much it costs. Forget it.
And their kids menu isn't great.
No, and I think that's really what it boils down to.
Yeah.
Their kids menu is a little more friendly.
Yeah.
Then I would absorb the cost and visit more.
Yeah.
But for that, I also went with Chico. Up next. Yeah, people are like, what? Savi's Workshop. Jen has been to Savi's Workshop. Both of us haven't been to After Hours, though I've been in the park after hours. Jen, what did you go with?
Here's the thing. I have not been to Savi's.
Oh,
because Mr. Snidillo and the 8-year-old, then 7-year-old went in. So they went because you could only bring like one other person or whatever. So I haven't been inside and I haven't been to After Hours. However, I have been kicked out of the park like the riffraff when the After Hours people are coming in. And I know how that feels. This is something I didn't pick until now because I'm trying to think of like, okay, but if I were to go to After Hours, that would be pretty cool, I think. But I think I'm gonna go. I think I'm gonna go Savi's because from what I hear, it's an amazing experience inside, and then just doing it at the end of the day, and then being able to take those pictures with like your lightsaber in front of the Falcon. That's amazing. So I'm gonna go with that, even though that's not in Savi's, but still.
What's so funny is about how I preface this with you being there and me not being there, where I clearly was Landon's plus one.
Yeah,
when
I
he
was
built
going to
his
say that.
lightsaber. And I was like, no, I have been in there. I have experience. I just haven't built one. But, well, I haven't built one, so clearly I haven't been. No, I have been. Yeah. So I went with Savi's as well, though. Being in the park, at the end of the day. What is better than that? So if
Right.
ever I were to go to an after hours party someday, maybe this choice would be different.
But all you gotta do is go to Savi's at the end of the day, and then you're kind of after hours in the park with your lightsaber.
I mean, that's fair. And really, where am I going to put my money? At an after-hours party or at Savi's? What would be next Savi's? Mrs. Dillo would be like, why would you do that?
Lexi goes, Jen is picking based off the emotions of being kicked out of the park. I'm dying.
It's fair. Cinderella's Royal Table, which Jen has been to, versus Jelly Rolls, Jen.
Mm-hmm. I have been to both, but if you know me, Jelly Rolls.
Yeah.
Jelly Rolls all the way.
And someday Cinderella's Royal Table for us, but for now, as we are discussing Jelly Rolls, maybe possibly being part of the meetup end of day of the Friday. We'll see how that goes. Went with Jelly Rolls as well. Remy versus Paolo. We both into Paolo. You have not been to Remy's, Jen?
I have not been to Remy.
Yeah. So what'd you go with?
I went with Paolo just because I know it, so I went with that.
I don't know, even without a child, if I could sit through we do 3-hour family dinners at restaurants, but I don't know if I could do it on a cruise ship.
I know, it's like so much food. I felt like Paolo was so much food. I can't even imagine.
So here we go, Victoria and Albert's, which in the Grand Flow, which I think Mr. Snidillo wrote the Grand Flow. Love that. First is the Brown Derby, Mrs. Dillo's favorite restaurant, based on principle alone. Jen, what did you pick?
Well, since I have not been to Victoria and Albert's, I went Brown Derby for that one.
We all went in 2018 to the Brown Derby. Generally, prior to that, I should say, I have never been a fan of the entrees at the Brown Derby. But I think this time, because we had a big breakfast or whatever, we all got Cobb salads.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is the best Brown Derby experience I've had. So because I haven't been to Victoria and Albert's, I did go with Brown Derby.
Now, Mr. Sandillo and I have every once in a while gone, what if we just fly down? We go to Victoria and Albert's. We just stay over for the night and we come back home. And that's all we do and just do it. We have said that.
Then last week, as if 36 hours isn't short enough when you and I go or anything like that. I did start to weigh, because Papa Dillo and I were discussing cost of things these days. Like when he went to see the Neil Diamond Broadway musical last month, just like parking versus lunch versus the drinks at intermission versus and what that rang up to it. I was like, well, here's what we did. We went to a show. We had the babysitter. We went to dinner. And he was like, ooh. And I was like, yeah, if we do that once a month, just once a month, a date night like that, which is, New York City extravagant. I think you go out to dinner and a Broadway show. That's the price of a nice Disney vacation in a year. 12 date nights, including babysitting. That's crazy.
Yeah.
And but so then that gets me in the mindset of okay, if I get a cheap flight early morning down, the last flight back, and something in the middle of the day, I could be spending less than I do on a date night. Of course, I'm going by myself in that instance, but spending less than I do, going on a date night in New York City. That could be crazy to me because, you hit a $79 flight back and forth. And even just a park ticket, it's less than a date night in New York City.
Yeah. # self-care. Am I right?
And finally, it's the Dillo's Diz bracket, which may be the toughest choices we have here. I know Jen is got a heart out here, so we might not get to these news stories. I should never have mentioned them. Ohana versus Jock Lindsay's. Ohana is very high on our list. Maybe you could have specified Ohana breakfast versus Jock Lindsay's, but I went with the Ohana here, Jen.
I went with Ohana, although I love Jock Lindsay's, but Ohana holds the place in our hearts.
I know. I walked through Disney Springs last week. I was like, oh, I want to go inside Jock Lindsay's. Here's a tough one for Jen. Grand Fiesta Tour versus the Tomorrowland Speedway. What did you pick?
Two amazing smells. Just the smells. That's what I'm basing this off of, is the smells. And it was
Which
Speedway
smell
for
is
me.
Better? Speedway? You picked Speedway.
Yes.
I talked over your response.
That's fine.
You went with the Speedway fumes off of the water smell, the bromine smell, the Grand Fiesta Tour. I went with Grand Fiesta Tour on this one. as my it's a shorter track in Speedway these days. But Grand Fiesta Tour is still, I don't know, it rings more nostalgic to me going on that ride. Just passing the temple. All I need to do is pass the temple in the beginning and the restaurant, and I'm like, that's all I need. I can get off the ride now. I don't need to do the rest.
It was not an easy pick.
Yeah. So moving on here, the Speedway fumes, though. I mean, classic.
It's good.
So good.
So unhealthy.
Mitsukoshi versus the electrical water pageant. I went with the electrical water pageant. It's an all-time favorite for me. Just looking at the floats is enough. Jen.
This is one I did not pick until just now. But I think I'm going to go electrical water pageant over, if we're talking just the store itself, I'm going to go pageant.
Okay. Yeah. It's a Small World versus the Friendship Boat Ride. Jen presented this one to Mom and Papa Dillo. They both said it's a small world, and I am in agreement.
Yeah.
Tough one. We did the Friendship Boat Ride so good. What, you didn't pick it yet?
I know. I think I didn't, but I think I'm going to go Small World because I do that more often at this point than the Friendship Boat. But man, if I were to wake up in a beach club room and just hear the horn, that horn of the Friendship Boat, it makes me so happy just thinking about that. So there's that.
Beaches and Cream versus Casey's is a no-brainer despite all the changes at Beaches and Cream.
Yeah.
Same Z's. The hamburger is still the patty itself is still great. I think the hot dogs tend to fluctuate at Casey's. They're up and down. So
they're big,
definitely,
they're small.
Yeah, they're definitely Beaches and Cream there. Magic Kingdom Dole Whip, not the one I had last week at the Polynesian, versus the Monsters Inc. Laugh Floor, which is a kid's favorite these days. Jen.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, Dole Whip. Come on.
Dole Whip. That's all you need to know.
Yep.
And this is another one, kind of like Haunted Mansion for me, which is funny. But because I feel like I've experienced it more the last 5 years because of the kids, because of the meetups, what have you, I feel like it has grown for me over the years. Aqueduct versus Funnel Vision. Jen.
Funnel Vision. If the Aqueduct is cool, I don't need to go on it, though. I did it. The Funnel Vision, my God, it's something so simple and it's so fantastic.
Yeah, it's very, very effective.
Yeah.
The spaceship.
Oh, what is your pick? Is that your same pick?
I'm also slow down, everyone. I'll go with Funnel Vision as well. I agree. Okay. I wanted Aqueduct to be. I don't know what's missing. I went on it like 3 times, but then I enjoyed it. But I felt like it was just missing something.
Yeah. Lexi, Funnel Vision is the movie screen out by the pool on Disney cruises. So they just play movies there all day long as you're sitting in the pool on a boat.
Lexi clearly picked Aqueduct for both of us. The Beacons of Magic at Spaceship Earth versus I already forgot what this matchup was.
Yeah, Railroad.
The Walt Disney World Railroad. Oh my gosh. I'm gonna go, you know what? I think the long game for the Beacons of Magic, as long as it doesn't go away on March 31st, is strong. Did the screen just go dark? What's happening? Oh, that was the end?
I think that was the end. That's why.
Whoa!
Because we started speeding it up looking at our time. I went with the Beacons. What is your choice there?
The Beacons as well. Because I think it's already great. If they continue to do it, there's just so much room for growth and Epcot greatness in it, nostalgia, everything. So and the Walt Disney World Railroad, I mean, maybe we'll go on it or something here by the end of the year, and I'll be like, oh my God, I don't know. We'll see how it goes. All right, we got 3 topics or subjects here. I'm just going to go one by one. So number 1 is the Epcot concepts that were released yesterday. All the sources were sharing them. I sent the Communicore Hall to Jen, but the one I'm going to pull up is this concept art for the new Nighttime Spectacular in Epcot. So, Jen, you looked around, you browsed around at some of this concept art yesterday. What were some of your thoughts?
First of all, I felt overwhelmed by the amount of stuff. I'm like, I need to do deep dives into everything, which I still have not. This specific concept art, or all the concept art.
I mean, let's collectively, but you can touch on this one. You could touch
I mean,
on the
this one's a little interesting. I want to know more.
Mm-hmm.
Have they released much more?
No, I
or
think this is
did
the
I
only
miss it?
one of
Okay.
the nighttime show. They have talked about there will be lasers and Disney symphonic music weaved together
Mhm.
to be the soundtrack of this new nighttime show. They have not given the name because they're like, we can't screw it up like we did with Harmonious. Even though we're all used to Harmonious now and we think it's a great show. It's over.
Right.
Thanks,
It's done
Barges,
now.
for ruining it. And
Cheap.
so I think I'm sure that they sit around a conference table every day throwing terrible names out there, much like the Kellogg's group said, oh, our breakfast cereal is Kellogg's, but everything else, your Pop-Tarts, your snacks, your Pringles, who knew Pringles was made by Kellogg's, all of that now is called Kellanova.
Kellanova.
So Pop-Tarts no longer made by Kellogg's. I mean, it's still Kellogg's, but it's under the Kellanova brand.
So someone in boardroom was like Casanova, but Kellanova. Like no.
Hellanova. How about that? Kellanova. So there you go. But I think that's when the real opinions will come. This is fine for now. It looks like the end of soaring over here.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really have an opinion on this yet.
What about Communicore Hall?
Okay. So that one, I mean, my initial reaction was it feels innovation-y. I'm a little confused. Like, are they keeping the building and putting it in there and adding something? Because then there's like the Mickey and Minnie. Where's the Mickey and thing? Is that right next to that?
I don't
know where everything is going, but inside, I mean, I'm excited because we love Communicore, as you know. I mean, yeah. Wait, yes, is that what I want to say?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
I think. What did you
from
just
back in the day? Communicore, yeah.
Communicore, yeah. Why is it a community core? Because of Communicore.
No, I know, but then what's this one called though?
The Communicore Hall. Yeah, they're bringing it back.
Same thing. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just making sure that they're okay. I didn't, because as Dillos, we just name things, and I don't know if they're the real names or not. So, I mean, I'm excited for it because I loved it back then so much, and I like things like that. I like the big Figment. That looked cool. Good. Keep Figment around. Keep adding him to places. That's fine. But it did feel innovation-y, and I'm like, well, I don't want it to feel innovation-y when I'm there, because we had innovations. If you're doing something different, do something different. That's how I feel.
Speaking of Figment, meet, greet, repeat. It was announced yesterday that there was going to be some new character meet and greets, including later this year a Figment in Epcot, a Figment meet and greet. No mention of the Dreamfinder, but a Figment will meet with guests at the Imagination Pavilion starting late summer. I mean, I assume we're getting some kind of animatronic thingy. We'll see what that means. So later this summer for Figment, Moana meet and greet will be coming to Disney's Animal Kingdom starting April 22nd, because they haven't made an announcement for the Animal Kingdom in like 3 years at this point. So all these new things coming, like, I think we got to do something new for Animal Kingdom. So even though we have Moana's Journey of Water in Epcot, let's put her over in Epcot.
Make it make sense.
And then Mirabelle meet and greet in the MK starting this fall. Why fall? I couldn't tell you, but this fall for Mirabelle in the Magic Kingdom. Jen?
I just wanted to show this comment because this made me LOL. Jen has a hard stop, goes on cereal brand tangent. That's how we roll here. So Dr. Val is saying I'm sad Merida going away, but I'm excited for Moana, Figment, and Mirabelle. And here, this is the comment I was waiting for. Dr. Jacqueline saying the Moana meet and greet outside of hard ticket events is like 5 years overdue. She's going to be so popular, but you don't love the AK placement. Yeah, don't love the A. Oh, you're saying, yeah, don't love the. Yeah, I don't really understand that.
Without sounding like an old man, when I worked in the parks very closely with the characters, and I'm going to be careful how I choose my words. When Hercules came out, it was very difficult to find Meg.
Mm-hmm.
Like, where is Meg? We can't find Meg. I'm just gonna leave it that way. So if Disney is as particular as they used to be for these meet and greets, which I cannot speak to,
right?
I would suspect, especially in Moana's case, that it was just as challenging to find Moana. Maybe she was just in the water, and in a way that would be would receive the audience stamp of approval, and do a meet and greet that would receive the audience stamp of approval, dancing around of it as much as I can for the purposes of character integrity and in wrestling what they call kayfabe. But I think knowing what the challenges were, and even and even Meg, but Esmeralda was like that too, where Esmeralda was very hard to find, and so I will leave it at that. Maybe that's part of this. Why does it take so long? Scenario.
Yeah, and Leah's saying maybe she'll move to Epcot once they finish Walcott. I mean, how are you going to have a Moana area and not have Moana there? I don't really understand. Dr. Jacqueline saying maybe she could move to MK since she's a princess. Earlier, Ryan also said maybe a cardboard cutout of Dreamfinder. I mean, I think we'll take anything at this point if there's Dreamfinder, but yeah.
Yeah, I think Dreamfinder deserves to be acknowledged in some way.
Yeah, for sure.
That's what we need back. I don't need a meet and greet. I need the acknowledgement.
But I feel like, are they going to bring Dreamfinder? Or are they going to bring, what's his name? What's his name in the thing with the doctor and the thing?
No, I don't talk. I don't even. You know why? I don't know his name. You know what that means? Don't bring him back.
Don't make him a character.
The Eric Idle character. I know the actor.
Yeah.
I don't know the name of the character. And finally, the What's Up Rodeo Barbecue. They released some concept art on the Rodeo Roundup at hashtag AlwaysMGM and Toy Story Land. And I'm going to share the screen here on this live stream so that we can this is really the picture I wanted to share, is this one.
Did it open?
I think it's about to. I think later this month it's about to.
I feel like I saw a video from perhaps Resort TV, like walking around yesterday. So I was confused. I was like,
a sneak peek, maybe.
Yeah.
Peek for the press.
So,
for the press and the influencers. I have.
It's a growl.
I mean,
that was a Roy Kent growl you just did. At,
I didn't watch a new one yet. I gotta watch an episode. Did you watch it?
Yes.
New Ted Lasso. Go. I have to convince Mrs. Dillo to watch it tonight. I again, you create this kind of immersive land, and you want to kind of offshoot this. That's fine. I don't understand why they went with the barbecue theme instead of a Pizza Planet theme. Like, not that we need another pizza place since we have Pizza Rizzo, but I felt like it could have solved two problems maybe with Pizza Rizzo.
Right.
But so to kind of shift into this barbecue now, Dr. Jacqueline, correct me if I'm wrong, but in Disneyland Paris, there's also a barbecue place that is themed to Woody's Roundup. Is that correct? I feel like that I visited that restaurant. I believe that's where I ate lunch when I was in Disneyland Paris. But I don't remember it being this, what's the word I'm looking for? Tacky. Yeah, tacky. That's the word I'm looking for. So I have mixed feelings on it, I guess. But Jen, what did you think?
I want to know the analytics, the stats, the whatever research Disney is doing to go, we need more barbecue places. And so in Epcot, they have a barbecue place. And here they have, and listen, I like barbecue. I was just at a barbecue place over the weekend. I enjoy barbecue. I'm just wondering, like, why is it like new restaurant barbecue? We're doing barbecue for that's what the people want. I just would like to know the thought process behind that. I see Dr. Val saying she's excited, but has realistic expectations. Yeah, I mean, I do feel it'll feel cheesy, but fine. I don't know.
Yeah. Dr. Jacqueline saying no, there's no, and it's been 9 years, so maybe it is no longer, maybe it's been rethemed since then, but I'll do a little research. Maybe it was just a barbecue place and I envisioned it being Toy Story themed. So who knows what that could be. And Dr. Al, good point. With barbecue is cheap and good and made for large crowds. I think that's fair.
Dr. Jacqueline, you think chicken nuggets are boring? What? I don't understand. You used to have Jesse and Woody meet and greet opposite the barbecue.
I mean, I feel like I have to walk it to really be okay with it. And I feel like
sure it'll be fine.
I think it's weird placement too, because I really because if you really think about what's back in that area, like I feel like there's now not a clear path to bulldoze through the launch bay all the way to the rock and roller coaster and create however you want to create it. So that's odd to me. So I feel like I need to visualize it a little. I need to see a visual more. I'm talking about these things blindly.
I appreciate everyone schooling me that it's just easy to make mass quantities. And where was the cowgirl mini? In Toy Story Land?
No, and she's talking about Disneyland Paris, the barbecue place. I suspect that's what.
Okay. I was like, if they have Ariel wands and cowgirl mini and Toy Story Land now, we are not going to be okay with that.
Like we know everyone here at DillosDizResort.com is here for our unreasonable and irrational responses to things. We know that's why you've hung with us for this long. Those Ariel bubble wands that night that we were in Toy Story Land with Lewis going towards, I was like, what is I mean,
angry.
I think Jen low key is irrational about it, but I am beyond irrational about it. Like they were everywhere, the surplus, and it was at a time where maybe supply issues were in play. But boy, did they have a lot of Ariel wands available.
Yeah, they did. I really think that was it too. Is that we need just merch over here. Just move it over here. People asking, will we be eating here during the meetup? If not, where are we eating? Different ideas such as pizza rizzos from Ryan. Perhaps we will do a vote in the resort when we actually start planning. Guys, I appreciate you have all planned your trips. We haven't. So when we start planning the trip and the meetup itself,
at this time, everyone who's already have their plans, please take this opportunity to convince Dr. Jacqueline here in the chat to also be at the meetup.
Yeah, Dr. Jacqueline. Obviously. Lee, are you coming over? Are you coming over here? I mean, that's an easy trip for you, no?
It's a quick turnaround. It's fine.
Yeah, it's fine. I mean, again, we will be there for 36 hours. That doesn't mean everyone else has to be there for 36 hours. What, 1,000% not coming? Is that
that's 10,000? That's 10,000%.
I added a zero.
Is it is it a Joey Tribbiani thing where you're like, yeah, no. Yeah, I am.
Will you just surprise us, Dr. Jacqueline? That would be fun.
All right, Jen has 6 minutes to get out of here, so we're going to wrap things up. Thanks for hanging out with us here the past hour on Theme Park Thursday Live. We'll see you over in the Discord. Until next time, she's Jen, and I'm Frank. Bye-bye.
Deuces. For your one-stop shop for all things Dillos, visit DillosDiz.com. Follow us on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at DillosDiz. Don't forget to join our Facebook group at Dillos Diz Community Core. We have plenty to see over at youtube.com/DillosDiz. Remember to hit that subscribe button. We'd love to have you check into DillosDizResort.com with tiers starting as low as $1. Theme Park Thursday with Dillos Diz featuring Frank Cardillo and Jen Cardillo Snyder. Dillos Diz Podcast 2023.